Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our August 17th meeting of the District 57 Board of Education and our first of the 2023-2024 school year. And the roll call.
Some of us are.
Vice President Bennett Kill. Member Nelson.
Here.
President Fay.
Here. And we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance.
Exciting things. They took trips to Pioneer Pool. They hosted a mini petting zoo. But that's not exciting. They had a reptile road show for those who like reptiles and who doesn't.
I know many of us on the board attended the Ed Red Legislative Breakfast as well, where there were lots of local representatives in attendance. Does anybody want to share an update about that? Anything? Go for it.
I talk plenty, Eileen.
You're great for it. You go, girl. You're going to mention tips, so just go.
Oh, Lord. Yes. Watch out, everybody. So Dr. Gore, Eileen, and myself were able to attend the legislative breakfast. And basically what it was hosted by Ed Red, that streamlining effort for individuals going into social work. So it's that kind of stuff that comes out of these events and one really helps school districts across the state. So that's the kind of stuff that goes down with those. It's really exciting.
That is really interesting, and to feel like you have an impact on that legislation, what it would mean for us to have to effectuate that in the timeline that the bill provides. And by all reports, we received very excellent feedback. It sounds like there's, as things are being fleshed out in the implementation, it's likely that many of our concerns will be heard and addressed, perhaps not in the way that we would like, but it's very helpful to have those relationships and those connections and be able to speak directly to lawmakers about the things that are important to our district. So we've been doing quite a bit of that work in the past several weeks. Yeah, go ahead.
And Jen, maybe you know this, is on this task force that they're creating coming out of this law, is there a member of Ed Red, or is Ed Red represented?
So we're still receiving money from last year's property taxes because it just takes the county sometimes a little longer to get it to us. And so that is why that percentage looks so much bigger than it should be.
Okay, yeah, so we're not obviously going to projections on new construction?
Correct. Okay. So, yep, so I put in the CPI, the 5%, and then an estimate of what we think construction is.
Awesome.
New construction.
Thank you.
Sure.
And then just second question, it's not budget related, but since it's in the report,
sure.
Again, I asked you this already too, but
that's okay.
It was, I know we talked about this all last fall about the delay in property tax receipts and what that was doing potentially to our fund balances.
Much money this year just because it's just the equipment, which I think is less than the actual installation. So it'd probably be about split between the two, and it just depends when those bills come.
Okay, thank you.
So we might get more money in for that, but yeah, just mentally be prepared that it's we haven't gotten tax bills August 1st, so September 1st we won't be getting money. So unless a miracle happens, and there are miracles. So thank you. And it's a beautiful budget. I was counting the pages and I was like, oh my God, I'm so glad that's not me. Yeah.
Jason. Beautiful. It is beautiful. Jason does excellent work. You should retire. Eileen, go ahead.
Mine is also more just like a comment in regards to the county doing this now almost 2 years in a row. Well,
it's really important for not only us, but the community to know, what are we building up to here, right? I mean, these all sound like good things, but presumably we're piloting a new ELA curriculum because the assumption is the one we have right now is not where we want it to be. And so what do we expect to gain as a result of that? And I think that's really important to have here. So, again, not looking for an answer now, but I think that's something that we should add to this and make sure it's clear. This is the long-term goal. This isn't going to happen this year.
Maybe a slightly cynical part of me that questions how helpful that will be to parents, community members, whether anybody will access it at all, whether it will mean anything to anyone. I don't know if there's a way to track metrics and kind of get a sense of, is this actually helpful? Are people engaging with this? Is this communicating something meaningful and valuable? I think taking the step and making the information available is huge, right? That I hope is a show of goodwill on behalf of the board and the administration to the community, that look, we want to welcome everyone into this process. We want for everybody to participate and to know what's going on. Nothing is happening behind closed doors that that's untoward or anything like that. But to communicate that and understand and really engage with, I think will be important. So.
I agree. I'm excited to roll out some superintendent coffees, and it's so you can put it in, but the more data you put in, the more overwhelming it can be to someone who's not used to doing any of this, and the more questions you will get as things change. Because someone will look at it and 2 years later they'll say, but wait a minute, why did this change? So
what is it that actually happened here? I guess my assumption is that if we're looking for evidence of some of these things, evidence of enhanced systems, well, we would need a description of the work that had been done to decide, well, does that constitute evidence or not? So I'm okay with some of these, I think, being a little bit flexible, because that's ultimately the goal of the evaluation, right? It's for the board to decide whether you and your team met these particular standards that you set out to meet. So in that case, I don't know.
Is in some order that may not get to that whatever, and so I just want to make sure that we are that the work is honored, especially by that group of people that went through. I mean, the district did a ton of work in gathering all of this information. There's a lot more in there than just a recommendation, so just making sure that in the end that we have honored that and those people, and that we do look at it before continuing on with year one.
And I was just going to add, not as specific as what Jen is saying, but the last couple years of our lives were crazy with COVID. So I know that you have plans, but something like the pandemic throw the plans off. So there should be an understanding of the board that if something crazy happens this year, that's taken into consideration. And even though it's not in an evaluation per se, it's not listed, this is what we're going to quote test you on, this is not what we're going to evaluate you on, that there has to be that in the cloud, where we know that if something throws us off track, throws the system off